الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I apologize for last week's video that was not uploaded. I was just told that it's going to be uploaded sometime in the near future. And I think the volume is a bit high. It's going to This is our third get-together here, inshallah, on the same topic, which is parenting. Last week, a quick summary for those who did not attend or did not see the tape, obviously.
You did not open it before.
And also as a reminder, last time we mentioned that whenever we embark on any task, we always think of 5 W's and 1 H. All right? And that's just to categorize things. The who, what, when, where, and why, and the H is for how. And we talked about who. We spent quite a bit of time last time about who, and we said the parents. The parents are the ones that are ultimately responsible for the upbringing of their children, and they can't blame anyone else for their influence. They are supposed to be the ones that will control and monitor and all other interactions. We talked about what, and we said the what is to do the mission, and the mission is, as was summarized, and now as children have to pay attention because they will be asked about a summary at the end, all right? You better remember that. We said the mission is to build a solid, well-founded Muslim generation that is well-suited to carry the flag of Islam and deal with the world around them during their lifetime. And we highlighted the lifetime to be from now about for the next 60 or 70 or 80 years. So we are raising a generation to interface with a world that we cannot imagine, right? With our imagination here and our prediction and all that, we can never tell what it will be like for those kids when they are our age or when they are older. The point is, if you are raising a generation to deal with the unknown, then you better equip them with the skills to be creative, to be quote-unquote adaptive, to be genuine in their foundation. All these kind of things that we have to think about. Problem solvers, and that will come through when we talk about the how, all right? When we came to when, we said there are 3 main phases according to the teaching of Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anh, when he indicated that you play with your children for the first 7 years, then you would discipline them for the next 7 years, and then you would companion them or befriend them for the following 7 years, and after that, you just let them free. All right. We came to where, and we said primarily the home. That's the main place that we do our parenting, But we also noticed that there are other places that interfere or have a role, let's not use the word interfere, have a role in the upbringing of the children, which is the school. And if you compare the number of hours that the children spend at home and the number of hours the children spend at school, you will find those comparable. And the home hours involve eating and watching TV and so many other things, so it's not all one-on-one time or parenting time in the quality sense. So we really have to think about that seriously, and we'll get to that point. How can we make sure that the home time is most effective and should be number one rather than number two? We also talked about the masjid has to play a role. Unfortunately, when you look at how much the masjid plays in the upbringing of our children, you'll find that unfortunately is minimal. And that is a serious deficiency in our upbringing. And we came to why. And why was just one simple answer. Why? Because it's a religious obligation and responsibility. All right? That's why we have to take this task seriously and do the best we can to ensure we achieve the mission. And we have to be reminded of that mission all the time. The mission is not just to grow a person in size and school them and that's the end of that. The mission is really to build that solid person that can achieve or continue Allah's mission, Allah's purpose for us on this earth. Finally, we come to how, and that's really the difficult part that will take most of our time. That's the part that we are going to be talking about for extended amount of time. If I go back to who, as a summary of what we talked about last time, the home, all right? The parents. The parents have to be both involved. They have to have the proper foundation. They have to have the collaboration in creating a home full of love and care and proper environment for an Islamic life and for the upbringing of the children. So that's really, we spent quite a bit of time on that last time, on the who and the relationship between the parents and the quality of home that they have to have. All right, we promised, inshallah, that today we'll start the how, and we're going to divide that into 3 intervals. And the first one is from 0 to 7, or actually from minus to 7, okay? Which is the upbringing of the children until they are about 6 or 7 years old. Now, at the end of last lecture, we mentioned 4 things that we said that these 4 things will be with us throughout the entire period of the upbringing of the children. And one of them, I'm going to mention 2 and then let the people that were here last time remember the other 2. That's going to be a quiz here, especially Muhammad and Abdullah. They closed the lecture last time, or the session last time was a debate with their father, which was very interesting, and we interfered in that. I hope. Okay. One of them is unlimited love. Throughout the period that the parents are responsible and caring for their children, they have to extend unlimited love, period, no matter what happens. All right? And there was a debate about what if they are not good children, what if so and so. Well, if you, the parent, the responsible party, lose that love all right, then you lost the mission and you will be responsible for the mission failure. You have to work with the children, whether they are good children or bad children, decent children or whatever you want to call them, and definitely, and you have to make them sure. You have to make sure that they feel that love. It's not just "I love you" kind of mouth talk or lip service. A true love, a true love. And we, and I believe in the first session, we emphasized the two types of love, right? The true love and the consumer love, right? Okay, so we make sure that we have that part. The second one that I remember we mentioned also is not to demean them or belittle them. Never demean your children or belittle your children, or ill speak of them, either in their presence or in their absence. All right? People casually describe their children as ugly words, right? And even some parents would say, you know, this kid came by mistake. You know, these kind of ugly things that parents sometimes casually cite, either in front of their children, which is uglier obviously, or behind, and the children sense it or hear about it or get to know that this has happened. It's very damaging, all right? So these are two of the four things. Who's going to help me with the other two? Muhammad or Abdullah? You guys remember anything?
No.
No. All right. The older Abdullah.
Responsible, like something about you're responsible, like you're the most responsible for your children. That's you love them unconditionally. And
I'll let you-
If it's wrong, it's his fault.
Okay. We'll move on. I'm not gonna wait for things. Let's talk about this critical period, which is from birth until 7 years old. And these are supposed to be 7 years of play. All right? Someone will say, what about discipline? Well, we're talking here about whatever we talk about, play, discipline, education, they are there continuously throughout. But the emphasis on, all right, the highlight of the period is what we are describing it with. So when we say play, we are not neglecting discipline, we're not neglecting education or friendship and learning. You know, they are all there. But the highlight and the tool, the main tool is play, or the emphasis is going to be in play. And in this regard, we are talking here about love, right? You're going to play with your child. You want to exercise the love, like we said that this is really have to be there unconditionally and continuously. Educate, direct, add to their discipline and add to their culture. I have a line here highlighted, which is again attachment to the masjid and the Muslims for the whole family, right? Not just bringing the kids to the masjid and that's it, you know. Basically, when the kids grow up seeing their parents attached to the masjid and the Muslim community, obviously it's going to give them you know, a flavor of what they should be doing themselves as well. So bringing them to the masjid is important, making them understand what the masjid about, and the environment of the masjid should be supportive in this, so all this have to be there continuously. Another highlighted line here also during this period here, which again, this is a period that you establish foundation for many things, all right? If you wait until they are 7 and above and you start to get the attachment to the masjid or to the Muslim community or the other things here, it's going to be kind of delayed introduction, which obviously not going to give the same growth or smoothness in the upbringing as if it happened in the beginning. We are reminded here by the hadith of the Prophet that the children are born on fitrah. So you get your children already with a good nature, the good in it. They have Islam already built into them, and you are responsible to maintain that. So if you interrupt that period and you don't expose them to what's in them, right, and build on it, and you come later on and you try to remove all the impurities that creep on, and the difficulty is going to be multiplied. So you really have to build on the fitrah that is already there in the children, and never give a gap in their practicing or their exposure to that. The second line that I have highlighted is also holidays, right? I'm highlighting those up front before I forget them, because usually these are the things that are typically related to Islam and the Muslim community. We need to build in our children from early on again their appreciation to holidays. And Islam has only 2 holidays, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. All the other things that the children get exposed to obviously cause them disturbance internally, and we have to deal with it, and we have to smooth it out. And if we let go and we wait until they are older, it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult. You need to work, like I said, you already received something that is clean and pure. Don't dirty it and then start washing it later, okay? You don't let the impurities get in and say, I'm going to clean it later. I'm going to add some magic thing here that is going to rub all this out and bring back the fitrah, or the pure person again. So you need to work on that from day one. So we casually celebrate birthdays. What's wrong with Valentine? Thanksgiving is something good, we're doing Thanksgiving, Easter eggs and Easter bunnies, and we let all that go and build up, and then later on, my God, how can I clean all that? So it is serious that we need to have the Islamic foundation from day one. I know they are not ready to pray yet, they are not ready to fast. They are going to see their parents pray and fast, and they understand all that. They are going to see their parents do dua, and they will hear the adhan. All these are obviously supportive things. Now we come to the long list. Give them time and attention. Many of us, all right, will not bother about spending time with their children. They are still too young, Their mommy is going to feed them, and she's caring for them, and she changes the diaper, she bathes them, I'm busy with my work, right? Not true and not proper, As a father, I'm speaking to the fathers here. I don't know how many mothers are listening, but obviously are going to listen on the video, and they're going to come after you guys here, right? You really have to spend time and attention with your infants, with your children from day one. They feel it. Touching them, having them get used to your touch and hug and smell. Children at this age, when they are first born, they recognize basically the feel and the smell more than these are the 2 strong things that they have, right? So until they begin to open their eyes and recognize faces and all that, they at the beginning it's a touch and the smell. So hug them close and touch their skin and rub them and actually change their diaper and bathe them yourself. All these kind of things are very important things that will establish a bond an early bond between the parents and the children. You want them to get attached to you, all right? You want the children to be attached to you. Never let those kids look outside or be interested in someone more than they are interested in parents. You want to be the ultimate person for them. You want to be the one that they miss the most, all right? And obviously that is through your love and care. And that was one of the things that we said that out of the 4 things, you have to be the person that they resort to when they grow up and open up to you. You don't want your children to open up somewhere else. So obviously you have to be the closest person to your children so they can trust to open up to you. And that was one of the things that the 2 boys here forgot. Right? There's another one coming in the discussion. So basically just be everything for them. Right? In this phase of life here, you don't want them to go and enjoy anywhere else more than they enjoy their parents in terms of closeness and basically to be the resource for them. All right, next, don't let them feel neglected. All right. Parents debate about children when they cry. If I go and comfort the child, he or she is going to get used to that. If I carry my child, he or she is going to get used to that. All these kind of things. Maybe I should let them cry a little so they can get used to it. Right? Some people are smiling here. Okay. Well, you can comfort the child. We're talking here about play and love, but not spoil. There is always a good sense for parents. They have to find that out. So I would comfort my child by rubbing them and not shaking them. By the way, shaking the child all the time, they get used to that and they want to be shaken all the time, right? Okay, you carry the child and you keep doing that to the child. Okay, they are gonna stop. They will never stop crying until you do that to them again. All right. So maybe comforting things that are reasonable and does not bring about a habit that you cannot break later on. All right. It's easy to just put the pacifier in the mouth of the kid and quiet them down that way. All right. Well, again, you try to do things without building habits, right? Without building a certain thing here that you cannot grow out of. So you need to be creative. One time to rub the child on their tummy or on their back, or one time to carry them, one time, you change. You don't do the same kind of thing all the time that eventually will conflict with discipline, right? You want to get to the discipline as well. Remember that you are doing the 2 things, the love and care and play while maintaining some discipline. Obviously discipline starts with the parents themselves. If they are not disciplined and they are don't think about what they do, which most of the time we don't quite think thoroughly in the things that we are doing, and we suffer from those later. So don't let them cry until they kill themselves crying, until they sleep out of crying. Some kids eventually develop the strength to keep crying until they force you to give attention. Eventually, as a result, you are building stubbornness in the child, right? If there's a challenge between you and the child, eventually you get the child to be stubborn, and some stubbornness are good, but you don't want to. Again, you really have to balance things. So try to deal with things differently. One time the mommy will go comfort the child, another time the daddy will go comfort the child, until maybe read some Quran for the child, do some special things for them. You just do different things at different times to make sure. Now, another thing also is related to don't let them feel neglected is I get a call and I grab my cell phone and I go on for minutes and the child is sitting there waiting for something that I was going to be doing for him or her or what have you. And that actually gets more serious when we visit with people and we neglect the child. We meet a friend in the store and the child is sitting in the grocery basket and we stop and chat and all that, and the child is sitting there waiting for us to do things. You really have to remember that your ultimate response and your prime responsibility is the upbringing of that child. It's not befriending the other people there. You can always tell them, I'm sorry, I'm busy with my child, I'll call you after when I have time, or I'll spend some time with you later on. So get your cell phones when your child is asleep or at school or when you are alone, try to do that. And I myself always done that. If I get a phone call and I tell the other person, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you now, I'm busy. And busy doesn't mean work. Busy could be spending time with my child, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. People appreciate that and they respect. Okay, where was I? Okay. Read for them, all right? Read for your children and read with them and tell them stories. Again, that's a tool to get close to your children. Even if they are so little, as infants, still, obviously reading Quran is very comforting and soothing. If you do that, especially with your child and when they are in bed and ready to sleep, that also establishes a good habit for the child to learn eventually when they grow up, that reading Quran before going to bed is very important, making dua and all these things. Don't belittle them, no mocking. We mentioned that, right? You don't ever belittle your children, but also no mocking and no baby talk, right? Children don't know how to talk in the early phase of their lives. When they are 2 years old or 3 years old, they're still mumbling and they don't quite, and baby talk. We all understand what baby talk is. So don't imitate them, right? Just respond to them in a normal voice as if you are, talking to an adult, right? As if you understand what they're saying, okay? And sometimes we make a joke, what are you saying? All these kind of silly things, all right, is belittling, and if the child gets used to belittling, obviously it's going to influence their personality, okay? They will be ready to accept that later on. And you want, like we said, don't ever forget the mission. The mission is not to build up weight and height and years of age. The mission is to build a solid, well-founded Muslim generation, all right? So you want those children to be proud of themselves. You want them to behave themselves, all these kind of things. So absolutely, no baby talk. If they can't pronounce the R and the S and they change some of the words into funny sounds, don't ever repeat that. You may want to be educative at some point, and you repeat to them, you want to say this, right? So and you pronounce it clearly. Obviously, if you are speaking in English and our pronunciation can spoil their pronunciation, maybe you should abstain from doing that. But that was actually the next one on my list here, languages, all right? You will bring your child bilingual, and that's very, very well acknowledged thing here. It's you know, many people are afraid, I'm going to confuse my child if I teach him another language. By all means, you know, it has been proven that bilingual children can command the language very, very well, and actually I have seen parents teach their children 3 languages. You know, maybe they are from you know, other origin, and they speak a 3rd language, so they teach a kid that language, and they teach them Arabic because of Quran and prayer, and they teach them English because they're living in the society. So I've seen, we had one of our community members here from Senegal, and he was teaching his children 4 languages. In addition to that was French, obviously. And the kids, mashallah. And his has what, 3 or 4 kids, and they're all homeschooled, 4 languages. You will be amazed. Make your children proud of being bilingual. All right? Some children feel ashamed of using their language, and or make the, you know, when they go to school, obviously they will be shy to show that they know Arabic, for example, or no other languages. You know, you really have to seed that pride into them. That did you raise the volume again? I guess they echo in my ears. Anyway.
It's just the latest section.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. So make them proud of being bilingual. All right. Now, languages start at the age of 2. By 3 or 4, children are really in good command of their language, and they put full sentences and all that. So that's the age where that comes in. Now, there's another thing here that we often don't pay much attention to. When we teach our children, don't try to just feed them the facts. All right? You know, same thing was, let's not show, let me not get into that example. Basically, teach them how to get the facts, and how to educate themselves, how to learn things, how to, you know, there is this Chinese proverb about, you know, give me a fish, I feed for 1 day, and teach me how to fish, I'm fed for life. You know, I may not have said it the exact, it's a Chinese anyway, and we translate it, so I don't think there's any one way of translating it. So, you know, if you want to give your child a fact, try to build it with them, and that way the child will learn how you compose, and will learn how to come up with things, logic. You know, you build the logic with the child that way. Like, for example, the discussion we had was with the boys last time about, you know, what's right and what's wrong. And we said there could be some right things, some wrong things in the same thing, and we can just look at the positives and negatives and try to weigh the decision. You know, come up with the proper way to make the decision, kind of thing. You know, for example, simple things that you have many opportunities to make your child use their learning tool and enhance it with them. For example, you know, I just came, I have a marker pen here, and just, you know, when I open it, you know, I can't open it. So child said, "Daddy, open that for me." Right? Maybe if we turn it around a little bit, you know, it opens easier, right? So you speak with your child. You know, I could have just opened it and here, go, okay? But I use that instance here to teach my child to learn, you know, things about the physics of the cover and the pen and all that, and when they are tight, you know, maybe that would help. If it doesn't work, maybe my hand is slippery, I can use a tissue. You know, I can come up with a scenario here to give the child opportunity to explore things and learn more things. Okay, what do I do with the cover? I put it here, I'll forget it, all right? And we discussed that. Okay, maybe if I put it here, I will always remember where it was. Okay, now shall we put the cover this way or turn it that way? Which way it looks nice? Does it make a difference? Oh yes, it makes a difference because I have to hold the pen that way because of the angle of the tip. So maybe this should be away there so it will not hurt my finger. You see, that kind of discussion with a child, even at early age, okay, can be opening up the learning tool and the thinking tool and the logic tool with the child and enhance their horizons, you know. So, like we mentioned last time, one thing also I remember is, you know, you need to give your children room to grow. And what I mean by that is, you know, you expand the domain of their activity enough beyond their current domain. You know, if this is their current domain, always give them a bit more room, so they can always be on the outlook of you know, learning new things. Okay, so always expose them to something new constantly, and children appreciate that, and they grow in the space or the domain that you provide for them. The more you provide, the more they grow. Obviously, if you leave the domain too big, all right, you can have an accident, all right? If they have the domain too big, you can hurt the child because they can lose their way, and things would be great for them. So with constant monitoring and assessment from your side, was that the right thing that I've done? You know, was this too much? You know, how far shall I go? Okay. My little one learns math in school in a unique way, and one of the things that they were discussing in school is odd and even. So they get figures of dots, right? So if they have one dot and one dot, right, across from each other, that's even. Two dots and two dots, that's even. So if the number of dots here and number of dots there are equal, that means it's even. But if they have three dots here and two dots there, the number of dots are different, that is odd. So I made a mistake once and I threw 4 dots on the top and 2 dots on the bottom. And she insisted that this is odd, and obviously it's not. And I knew right away that I was going too far. So I quickly withdrew my question and went back and so, you know, the concept itself is beyond her at this point, and they are introducing it to her in an easy and simple way, and by my question I was going beyond what she can accept and appreciate. Right? That was a few months ago. I believe if I go back now, she would appreciate more. So you have to choose the right time and the right and the right space that you allow, so you make sure that you don't constrain and you don't overdo the space. Let's talk about yeses and nos. You know, we are always, you know, our children are always asking for this. The answer is yes. That the answer is no, as if there is a black and white kind of thing. And you know, maybe different things will have different appreciation at different times. So let's not get into yes and no's unless they are truly yes and no's, right? You know, and what I mean by that is, if it conflicts with the policy I have for upbringing the children, which have to be consistent, obviously, with Islam, then it is a no, right? If it is within the policy that I established for this upbringing, and again, keeping Islamic guidelines in mind, then it is a yes. And there's no such thing as an absolute yes and absolute no, unless it is absolutely in conflict or either forbidden. You know, if it is not haram, all right, it is halal, and then Mustafa would come back and say it could be makruh. I remember that discussion before. Okay, so keep that in mind, all right, when you do the yeses and nos, all right, and you be the model. You know, if your children sense that you are unreasonable in your yeses and nos without explaining, obviously you are losing your influence or your control over them. So you have to explain why yes and why no, and see if you can build the confidence between you and your child, although that you are preventing them and denying them something that they really want. All right? You have to really make sure that you don't lose the bond between you and your child for something that is not really a no. Okay? You say a no for something that is not really a no, and then you know, some parents treat their children with so firmness that you all know the character Araosh, right? You know, if they say that, they are not going to change their word. Nothing wrong with changing the word and apologizing and tell your child, I was wrong. All right? I discovered that this is not bad after all, and go ahead and yes is fine. So again, that's building the bond. You know, when your children know that you are human, they are going to feel it, they are going to see it. Right? They know that you make mistakes, they are going to see it. So if you keep on denying it, you lose the trust. Respect for themselves and respect for others. All right? I think we touched on that when we said don't demean your children, don't baby talk them, and all this. Show them respect. You know, you have to show them respect in all other possible ways. Treat them as a whole human being, because that's really what you are trying to build, and you have to really deal with it that way. And if you teach them to respect themselves, it's basically teaching them also how to build respect for the others. And like I said again, the parents are the model. If they see daddy or mommy are going into less than respectful way of dealing with others, like I insult someone or let someone else insult me, even in joking, and my children obviously get to see that. You know, if you see, if it happens even away from the children, eventually it's going to get to the children. So if you deal with respect to the others and they respect you, your children by in turn will get that respect. All right. Again, these are all characters that I'm talking about here: sincerity, honesty, and truthfulness. You know, we mentioned if we don't have it, we can't give it to our children. We can never educate our children. So, you know, we really have to make sure that our sincerity and honesty and truthfulness is there, and that our children see it. Right? So, you know, seeing something wrong and you show your child that this is wrong and wanna express it or fix it or do something about it, uh, um, seeing, you know, the child is afraid to tell the truth and lies to you, and you encourage him to tell the truth, and all that, you know. You do something with you know, care for others in a sincere way, you know, let your children be a part of that, you know, all these kind of things, you know. There are lots of opportunities in our lives that we can use to exercise these good habits and let our children be exposed to it and absorb it, you know. You know, you may walk out of the store one time and your child was holding something and forgot to put it in the basket, so he didn't pay for it, right? Don't punish the child, and don't, you know, make them feel so bad. You simply just take the child back to the store and say, well, we forgot to pay for this because we were doing this and that, and we've kind of, you know, overlooked that, and you know, the child gets the experience of you know, something honest and sincere, right? Accuracy, perfection, most of us don't have that. But if we are after building a solid, well-founded Muslim generation, etc., 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 we need to make sure that our children have that. And that means we have to work on it ourselves. So you recall in the first meeting we talked about describing things accurately, right? And if I want to say to my child, for example, that after playing with some dirty stuff, I wouldn't tell him, you look how dirty you are, okay? Or you are dirty, you know. Maybe I should be calling, say, you played in the dirt, as a result, your hands got dirty. You've got dirt in your hand. So these are more accurate explanations, you know. My little one, you know, did 4 things wrong. So I said, you did this, this, and this, and that. And I added the 5th thing without noticing. And she comes like, no, I didn't do the 5th thing, right? You know, she did the 4 things, yes, she acknowledges that, but you added 1 that is not accurate, you know. So we have to watch what we say and what we do, all right? It's really constant monitoring, and you have to be on your alert 24/7. I hate to say it, you know, you really have to be. And if you make a mistake, and we all do, then we admit it, and we say, Daddy or Mommy made a mistake, and the proper thing is, the correct thing is. So he or she will learn also to do likewise. I made a mistake, and the correct thing is, or I apologize for that. Sincerity, honesty, truthfulness, accuracy, and perfection. Now, cleanliness and neatness. Again, you know, as Muslims, we really have to look our best. So we have to also teach our children how to be always clean and neat. All right? Yes, they muddy themselves and they do all that, but we have to teach them that, you know, we can't stay long in this state. A child would have things running down their nose, and, you know, we leave them for hours, you know, constantly. Have a tissue and clean your child. You know, they get something on their clothes, clean it right away. Get them to establish that, put things back in place, you know. You use the tissue, all right? Don't throw it here, okay? When you are done with it, there is a place for it, okay? What should we do with it? Finished your work, tidy your desk, and do all that, you know. Finish your toys, neatly put them away. We don't do that, and we end up with adults who have difficulty keeping a neat place. They've got clutter everywhere, their desks are not organized, their clothes are everywhere, you know. Do I know anyone here with this? Right? Mommy will take care of this. Daddy will clean after me. Right? No, you teach your child from the early stage that they have to be neat and clean. Okay? They wake up in the morning, they make their beds. They always walk with their slippers on. If they go out, they better have their shoes on, and so on. All these kind of things, you know. We start from day one. Guess what? They're going to teach us how to be disciplined, right? Because it's an investment that pays off. If you do it right from the beginning. You know. So they share in cleaning the house, even if they are 2 years old. You know, they come around and give them a small thing and wipe this. The little one would clean and wipe and help daddy and mommy clean the house. Okay? Did you hear that, daddy and mommy? All right. So neatness is very important. All right. Communication skills. Children, you know, don't develop their communication skills randomly or haphazardly. You know, they get taught how to talk and what to say and all that, and they watch adults and they simply develop the styles that they see around them. And most of the time that style comes from school than from the home. And we would like to make sure that the style that they develop is adequate for the mission that we are preparing them for. So they have to have the proper Islamic manners and the Islamic attitude in their communication skills. How to argue their point politely, right? And learn how to disagree with others, and obviously that is going to be a difficult task for parents who are lacking this kind of thing. You know, it's very important to have that. So you tell your child, you know, what to say and when to say it and how many times to say it. You know, all these kind of things. When do you have to repeat yourself and which way and how to clarify your point. Okay. References, trusted and doubted. You know, obviously the children are going to get exposed to many people around them, and you know, some of the things that they pick up from some of those are going to be good things that would be approved and trusted, and some others would be shady and doubted. So they are going to watch TV, they're going to listen to their teacher, they're going to listen to a family friend or even a family member or a sibling or what have you. And you need to teach your children whom to resort for the trusted information. And that, like we said before, should be the parents. All right? At some point, we mentioned that you know, we have to teach your children what other references they can go to. My little one asked me a question, and I used the opportunity when we had a sheikh, and I brought her to the sheikh. I said, why don't you ask the sheikh? So she would get the idea that, you know, the sheikh is a scholar, is a reference that I can trust, and I can ask questions about Islam. You know, the question was obviously a children question that any of us could have answered, but again, showing them what a reference is. What is the reference? We need to learn about this new word. Where do we go? All right, let's open the dictionary. All right. So we learn that the dictionary is a reference for words. We need to understand this particular practice, about woodwork, for example. Let's find a carpenter that knows it. So, building the appreciation to what is a trusted reference and what is a doubted reference. Obviously, our children nowadays and us, whatever we want to know is to Google it, right? So there is always a question mark there, and we have to be careful. They sit down and watch a children show or a TV show for children, and the idea is that they have tried to sneak on the children there, and children take that as Mr. So-and-so said on TV, or Mr. So-and-so said in the school, right? So they develop some references there. The teacher said, that means, like the Bible, or the, as the Christians say, So we have to make sure the teacher said that, but the teacher is not a Muslim, and therefore this part, they come home. We are in the season now that we are approaching Valentine, and teacher says you have to do this Valentine thing. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, the teacher can say that, but we are different, and we have to make sure to understand the teacher is good in math and physics and science, but she doesn't know about that part of our religion. So we have to put everyone in their proper perspective in terms of being a reference. Am I exceeding my limits? The last one I have here is right is right and wrong is wrong, and how to deal with it no matter who has done it. Right? So I teach my children, I want to teach them what is right and what is wrong, all right? And wrong is wrong, even if I did it myself. I have to admit it. If their grandfather does something wrong, then grandpa is wrong, right? Daddy, you said smoking is wrong, but Uncle so-and-so smokes. Well, Uncle so-and-so is wrong, right? In front of that uncle, whether he is happy or not, we say the information the proper way, and we make sure that we get the proper guidance to our children. Have I missed anything in my list? Yeah, there's one here that I think I touched on that, but maybe I should say it again. Is again, teaching our children good skills, right? I'm using big words here, like critical thinking, analysis, logic, judging issues, and decision making. Believe it or not, these are important things for children on their level, right? Shall I wear this clothes today or that? Daddy, which color should I wear? Right? That's decision making. So you want to come up with a logic to make the child appreciate how to make the decision. Oh no, go wear this one. No, you don't take the decision for them. Teach them how to make the decision. Or if you have a decision in your mind, make them reach it through your dialogue and justification and all that. What are we going to do today? Shall I play with this toy or that toy? Or, shall I color this figure red or yellow? Again, you have all sorts of things there that you can talk them rationally with your little ones and make them reach a decision themselves rather than you. Obviously, if I'm too busy and I don't want to bother, all right, well, I don't care. And that's an ugly word that should never come out of the mouth of a parent. I don't care. The Americans always use that word, by the way. Have you guys noticed how much I don't care they use? And that's damaging. They mean by it, it doesn't matter, you know, I really, it shouldn't affect one way or the other, you know, that's what they mean. But the impression that comes through I don't care is carelessness, which is very disturbing. I think I'd rather stop here. It's been almost an hour, or maybe 50 minutes. And 50 minutes?
An hour, exactly an hour.
Okay. Maybe if we get into a small discussion here and then we conclude, inshallah. Any discussion, any questions, any points?
Yeah. I want to ask about the last point on your list when you mentioned that if, for example, the uncle of the kid makes something wrong, I should react on that on the spot and say clearly to the kid, of course in an appropriate way, that this was a mistake, your uncle made a mistake, and this shouldn't be like that.
Yes, but you see, you want to also teach your children not to be impolite.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So you would say, well, we usually don't do that. And maybe Uncle so-and-so did this because, all right, but typically that would be wrong, and maybe the proper way it would have been so-and-so, right? Something of that nature that can smooth out, right?
Yeah, this is an important point, but I want to go deeper than that. When the relation comes to the grandmother,
Same thing.
Same thing. Even if it was criticized in a polite way, they make them angry with their son or daughter.
Well, that's why you have to preempt that by talking to grandmother and grandparent that, you know, as part of my upbringing to my children, I usually do that. So please be careful, otherwise I may be forced to say that in front of you.
Okay.
Right?
I really appreciate what you say.
You know, for example, for example, that grandpa smokes, or Uncle so-and-so put his child in front of him while he's driving the car, or, you know, so-and-so doesn't, you know, eat with proper manner, you know all these kind of things in the environment that the children are going to see. So you try to explain that. You know, maybe you can explain to the child, you know, so-and-so does this bad habit, he cannot get out of it. Grandma is old and we can't criticize her, but we don't do that. You don't see your mommy or daddy do this, so, you know, please appreciate that and let's not hurt her feeling by mentioning that. So you can do, if your child is old enough to understand that, you can talk to them ahead of, see, you can work either way, depending on, and you may have to do both, depending on the situation.
What if it is not an action, it is a wrong information? For example, my daughter come to me and say to me, my grandma told me this is haram, but it is not haram. How to tell her that this is wrong information?
Well, you don't have to label it wrong as such, okay? Again, you know, you don't want to hurt the image of grandma in front of the child. When the child grows up a bit more, she will understand, or he will understand, that that was wrong, okay? But the way you bring it up, you know, maybe grandma did not read the Quran well, okay? And the proper thing is, no, it's not haram. Something like that, okay? So, you know, use your, I hate to use the word creative too much. You know, in English there are not too many alternatives to the word, right? But you know, anyway, there was something on this side.
مصطفى عنده مشكلة.
مصطفى عنده مشكلة.
It's not a
ابنك تابعك مصطفى.
So I just want to add something here about when we associate
certain kind of behavior, bad behavior with a good word. Like, this is like always, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and they told me that my little one taught me something very interesting and very beneficial to me. I'm trying to follow it whenever I remember that thing. Told me that I used to tell her that, inshallah, whenever I do something, or she asked me to do something, I say inshallah. And then over the time, started to be associated with not doing it. So she told me whenever she asks something,
Don't tell her
inshallah I will do it. So, no, don't say inshallah, just say I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that's a very good point here, and it's always one of the issues that we struggle. That's why I said, if we don't have it, we can't give it, right? So if we really have to discipline ourselves, and we have to be good Muslims in order to raise good Muslims, all right? So it's very important. Now, let me tell you how I used to tell it to my children. I used to tell them, inshallah it will happen, inshallah it will not happen. Okay? So I'm trying to see the meaning in their understanding that whatever happens and whatever doesn't happen is all inshallah. Okay? I intend, and I really would like to, and I will try to do the thing, all right? But I may not be able to. Okay? So I never, and if you ever meet my younger son, who's 31 years old now, right? He can never promise you anything, because I taught him not to promise. Right? I'll do my best, inshallah. Right? I'll do, because that's really what you can promise. You can never promise that you are going to do anything, because the results and the actual things that happen is not up to us, is not up to our will. It's up to Allah's will. So you have to see the meaning in their understanding from the early age, that inshallah means I'll try, and Allah willing it will happen, Allah willing it will not happen. So that's my solution. If you come up with a more creative way in dealing with it, we need to learn it, to appreciate it. So don't ever promise your children anything, because it may not happen, and therefore the children stick to promises. Daddy, you said that you are going to do this.
Yes. Okay, but at the same time, I may damage the meaning of making the commitment. So, and if he keeps like, that, okay, I cannot promise anything because nothing in my hands, which is good. But at the same time, I should grow in himself how to have a commitment, how to, give a promise to do something.
No, you can never give a promise to do something. And if you give a promise, it would be with the understanding. All right? Let me tell you, I worked as a professor at Virginia Tech, all right, since 1979, and I've been writing proposals. And the Abbott administration would hit us on the hand if we promise that we are going to deliver anything in the proposal. It's all best effort.
Doctor, we
If I
have 2
say-
minutes before the recording.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I cannot promise more than.
You know, you can never promise that I'm going to solve that problem for you. If you promise the sponsor that you're going to solve that problem for them and you don't, they take you to court and you pay the entire research project funds that they paid you. So it's all best effort. And you have to see that in your children, but you have to also see in them the genuine and sincere approach to trying to achieve that. So as I tell them, inshallah, I'll try to do it, I have to show them also that I really tried hard, but it did not happen. Okay? So, see, you kill 2 stones with 1 bird. And so many people are awake today. I always say backwards to check who's awake and who's not. Okay. For the tape, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك we close the tape and then we continue our discussion, because the tape is up.